All right. All right. So I just hit record. So it will start recording at this point. All right. So when you're looking at this handout again, it shows you all the students' names. If any of my students right now could check the box on their page that says done, you should have a little option on the file that says done. All right, so Sammy just clicked it. So you see the green arrows appear next to their names. So that's your way as the teacher to know, like, hey, this kid said they're done, I should go grade it. Now, could I go into like Brian's and grade it without him saying he's done? Yes. But does the student marking it as done kind of help the teacher to know if the student's ready for a review? So that is the thing about the handouts. The other thing I want to point out while we're in here is if I click end, the students will no longer be able to do the work. If after clicking end, I'm going to do it just to show you. If I was to click start, it is actually going to delete all of your work. The reason I'm giving you this warning is because we're going to talk later on about making multiple copies for multiple sections. So if you teach like 3 Algebra 1 courses and you're using the same slide deck, you still want to have 3 copies of that slide deck. Because if you end one class's work so that the next class can start, it'll delete that whole first class. So you need each class to have their own file, so that way all of the work stays within the file. All right, so we're going to keep moving on. So this is another activity. It's called Flip Out. And a really cool pedagogical thing that some teachers do with Flip Out is they actually use it as a choice board. So you'll notice that behind each word is a little task. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to come up to my people. So I'm going to come right here where all of your names are listed. And I'm going to change this lesson pacing from teacher to student. So I'm going to click student now. And what that does is on your screens, on your browser, those grayed out arrows are now going to become white so you can go between the slides on your own. And what I would like you to do is I would like you to pick one of those 5 activities and use the exit ticket right behind it to complete that activity. So if you're looking at your flip cards and you see cultural, it says, what is one event or holiday that has cultural significance to you? Explain the event. You would then go to that next slide that says exit ticket, and you could answer that question. So that's just a pedagogical way that you can use those flip cards, which you don't have the ability to grade. That's just an activity, but you can add a slide behind it where the students could answer the question. Another thing I just want to point out is if you start typing, and I'm on Jake's right now, Jake is not going to see what I type until I exit out of the text box. So if you still see that blue line around your text box, anyone else looking at your screen wouldn't see it. All right. And again, this is just a great example. I can see not every student has started yet because they're probably still on the flip cards. All right. So I'm going to actually go back to teacher pace because I skipped a slide before that I want to show you now. And this is the game show. You might have seen game show when you were doing Smart Notebook on Wednesday. And the reason I want to show you this is because if you were teaching remotely, now all of your individual screens, so when you're on that Hello Smart as a student, you can see the game, but it's not going to be interactive in the sense of all of us playing together. But let's say that you are teaching vocabulary and you want to send your kids off into like pairs and let them compete against each other. They'd have the access to the game on their device to play with like the classmates sitting next to them in their partnership. So that's why I just wanted to show you that the games are still there. They're just not always going to be interactive between the teacher and the student. All right. So right now we are going to actually switch over to teacher mode now. So if you were in an incognito window, go ahead and close out of it. if you are accidentally logged in as yourself. So pretty much anyone whose name does not say guest, you logged in with your Google account. To log out, you are going to click on the 3-line menu here and either click leave class, or you might see an option that says sign out of class. So you need to sign out as best as possible if you are not in the incognito window. So if you are logged in as yourself, you're going to have to do that signing out. All right. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be looking at how to actually create stuff. And then we're going to look at how you as the teacher would present stuff. So we're going to start with creation, then presenting, and then we're going to do asynchronous. So if you remember, I told you that you will all get a copy of this presentation. I will show you how to share asynchronously with your students. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to go to Google Drive. And I want you to just check when you log into Google Drive, you're going to click New, More. And I want you to make sure that it might not be in the same order as mine. You might have different stuff, but make sure that Smart Learning Suite is one of those options. And if once you check that, I already see one thumbs up. If you can just give me a thumbs up that you see Smart Learning Suite as an option. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you to those of you who have your cameras off for using the emojis. I love it. Thank you. All right. So you are going to actually click on that Smart Learning Suite directly in your Google Drive, and it's going to open another tab on your browser. At this point, you may have to log in. So when you click that Smart Learning Suite on Google Drive, it's either going to look something similar to what I have, or it's going to prompt you to log in with Google, and it's going to ask you, are you a student or a teacher? So if you have questions going through it, come off of mute and ask. If not, just follow whatever steps are on the website. And then if you can in the chat, let me know when you're seeing a page that looks similar to mine with like that purpley blue bar on top. And you might not obviously have presentations because you haven't done anything yet, but it should look semi-similar, at least at the top. All right, so Sean wrote he's there. Okay, I see a couple people are in. Okay. All right. Awesome, in. Very cool, very good. All right. I think that's about half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 9 people said they're in. For those of you that aren't in yet, are you having issues that you need help with? Oh, we got 2 more in.
Yeah, I'm on Google Drive. What am I looking for?
Okay, so when you're in Google Drive, you're going to click on the new, so right on the top left. And then as you scroll down that menu, there's an option that says more. And Smart Learning Suite should be on the more options.
Okay, I found that. Yes.
Okay, so that's what you're going to click on. And then what'll happen is it's either going to log you right to the page that I'm currently on, or it's going to prompt you to log in with Google. It's going to ask you if you're a student or a teacher. It just depends on if you've used it before or how your account is set up.
Okay, so Smart Learning Suite, I just clicked on that. And I see 2 kids.
Okay. Does it ask if you're a student or a teacher?
Yes.
Okay, make sure you click teacher.
Okay, teacher. Okay, now I got it.
Okay. That's actually why when I had you guys in my class before, I told you to go through an incognito window and do guest. Because if you logged in as a student, it's possible to switch to teacher. It's just like a hassle. It's like a very multi-step process to go from student to teacher.
Corey, my page, it has my name on it with the class ID on it. It's still Smart Learning Suite, but
Yep.
it's not. Am I supposed to have your page up or my page up?
Suite
Your
Online,
page. You're
where
going
it's
to be looking at your
turn
page.
your learning content into interactive lessons that engage your students
Mr.
on a
Little,
whole
turn
new level.
the thing off.
All right, so yes, it should have your name, and I'm actually going to show you how to change that up too. So
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure I'm in the right spot.
you are, and if you guys remember, I told you that they're changing the name from Smart Learning Suite to something else. This icon right here in the top left corner is what I was told is the only thing that will change for you as a user. It'll be called something different, and it's going to, the logo is going to change, but the website's going to be the same. The features are going to be the same. It's like legitimately just a new name. All right, so right now, mine says Corey Freed Visual Sound. Yours might say your full name. It might say like Mr. Smith. It depends on how it was set up, but you do have the option to customize that. So if you come over to the right, you'll see that option that says Edit Class, and you could rename your class. If I was to rename my class like Miss Freed's STEM Lab, you'll notice that now instead of saying Corey Freed Visual Sound, it says Miss Freed STEM Lab. This is going to be kind of important because your students will see your class name. When they log into Hello Smart, they actually can see a list of all the classes they've previously joined. So they'll see like their first period teacher, their second period teacher. They'll all just be listed on their homepage after that first time they log in. So you want to make sure they obviously know who's who. I'm going to just change my class back to my other name because otherwise I'll get confused next time I go to do a training. The class ID. Think of your class ID as your room number. You give your students your room number, they are able to enter your room. So you just asked if we can, you assume we can have multiple classes. Not really. So that's why I'm saying think of the class ID as your room number. Technically you have multiple classes, but they're never all in your class at the same time, right? It's that same idea. Your students will come to your class when it's their time to be in your class. And when the bell rings and they go to the next classroom, the next kids come in. It's that same kind of concept. The students will, you as the teacher only have one class, but the students come in and out of your class. Does that kind of make sense?
I'm sorry, Corey,
Yeah,
what if you're teaching multiple subjects, like let's say biology, and you're teaching biology, but you might be teaching anatomy and physiology, that kind of a thing. If we can't separate this, how do we do that?
So you can't really separate it that way, but like how I wrote my fake class name and I called it like Miss Freed STEM Lab, I would just keep my name. And that's all they would see on their side. They would just see the teacher's name. You as the teacher, I'm going to show you organizing your files and having multiple files. So the fact that you teach different subjects, that won't matter as much as just making sure that the kids know which classroom to come into. Like you could see if I scroll down on mine, I have a ton of presentations that are all different. And that's because it saves everything I've done. You'll see I even have like 3 copies of the same presentation, which is what I'm going to be showing you how to do. Because when you do have 3 sections of biology and 1 section of physics, you might have 3 copies of the biology notebook and 1 copy of the physics notebook. It's exactly for that reason. It's how you separate the students. You as the teacher, it's going to all be in that one place, but the students would only see the one that they need to see. All right, so The other thing, you can reset your class ID, but I highly say don't do that. That would be like changing classrooms every day. You'd have to re-give your kid the number every single day. Whereas if you keep your number all year, next time the students go to hellosmart.com, they would see, oh, this is Mr. I'm looking at the names, Mr. Mellon's class. And they click Mr. Mellon's name and his class will open up. So I would recommend not changing those class ID numbers. It's not the same as like a Zoom bomb. You know how like with Zoom, if you have the same Zoom room every day, they start posting it on Twitter and all of a sudden there's like random people who don't even go to your school getting into your Zoom calls. It's not going to happen on Smart. And even if it did, you guys saw, obviously, I as the teacher can see all your work, but the classmates can't. So it's really not a big deal if people try to sneak into your class. It's not going to affect the class itself. All right, so when you are in this page, you should see add activities, explore resources, and training. I want to start here because this training icon is going to bring you to Smart's website where you would be able to find videos, webinars, training, anything that we didn't cover today or anything you maybe need a refresher. Like, wait, how do I create a new page again? Well, start with a new page. And right there, they already made a YouTube video. It's 1 minute, 6 seconds that just takes you through how to add another page to your presentation.
That are well worth exploring.
So that's the nice thing about that tab right there that says training. It's going to give you guys extra help from Smart directly. Explore resources is going to give you some ideas and lessons for different things. Like here is an SEL check-in. Here is a themed background, graphic organizers, all different stuff. If I was to click on those graphic organizers, I could save them to my library. When I save it, I'm going to actually take you back into Google Drive in a moment to see where things are saving. So if everyone in here right now actually would like to click on that link that says explore resources, and it doesn't necessarily matter what resource you're taking right now. So you can pick one from the featured, or if you really do want to go search it a little bit, but I want you to just click on any one, and click the save to my library option. So pick any resource on this page and click share to my library. And while you're doing that, I am going to go back to my Google Drive. So when you go back into Google Drive, you will see that file you just shared or you just saved from the library is now in your Google Drive. If you have like the most recent files, you'll see it right there at the top. If you were, I'm going to show you where it saves it to, but if you're not very familiar with Google Drive, I want to show you a trick as well. If you've ever saved a file and then you don't know where you saved it, if you right click on that file and click show file location, it's going to open the files folder up. So that helps you find those files easier. But what I'm going to show you is anytime you save a resource, if you scroll down in your Google Drive, you should find a folder. And if you didn't have one already, it should automatically create it the first time. But you should have a folder called Smart Learning Suite. And that's where it's going to save everything you click save for in those resources. Elizabeth just asked if there's a way to search the explore resources. I don't believe so from this page, but I will show you another website where you can. So this is kind of like the Cliff Notes version. And this exchange.smarttech.com, this is the unabridged version. So Cliff Notes, unabridged. In the Smart Exchange, you can search by random keywords. You can search by grade level. You can search by subject area. So that is the difference between the toolbar just popped over me. So that is the difference between the resources and the Smart Exchange. Cliff Notes, unabridged. All right. Yep. One other thing about the Smart Exchange I just want to point out, you're going to notice that some files say that they were shared by Smart Technologies, and then other files will have like random people's names. Smart Exchange allows anybody to upload a file. So if you have like a great file that you created for art class and you want to share it to everyone else, you could upload it here and the entire world, or at least anyone who's searching for Smart Notebook files, would be able to find it. I want you to know that, because just because somebody thinks their stuff is amazing and they want to share it doesn't always mean it's amazing and you want to share it. So when you're going in here searching, be aware that some things are going to be amazing and some things are going to be, I mean, it's cute. I mean, it's a hangman. So they have like their little guy and they have the letters, but it's not really going to be a great resource. So I want you to just be aware. Don't assume everything in there is gold, but it is free. Nothing in there costs money. So don't think it's like teachers pay teachers. Smart Exchange is 100% free. All right. So now that we have that file uploaded, I want to show you something else, and then we're going to go back into the Smart Learning Suite. If I was to click on that file, it opens up the preview, and then it says open with Smart Learning Suite. I also have that option to right click, open with Smart Learning Suite. The reason why we always say go through Google Drive to start is because, sorry, I thought I had a different tab open. All right. So if you were to go directly to Smart's website, you'll see it says visit my drive. If I start a new activity right now, it's going to save it to the My Drive in the folder called Smart Learning Suite. But if I'm in My Drive, and let's say I go to my training folder and I come to the school, if I was to start the file from here, you're going to see it opens that tab, it opens that other file, but the advantage of doing it through Google Drive instead of coming straight to Smart is now when I click add the file, it's saving it to that specific folder where I want it to go. So by starting in Google Drive, it's going to save your files where you want them so that you stay organized. And that is one of the biggest things, is organization. When you're looking here at Smart Learning Suite, everything is just chronological. There's really no way to find a specific file unless you know exactly when you used that file last. So I really do recommend just always going through Google Drive. That way you know that when you do start something, it's saving it in the folder that you want it to save in. Now, whether you're in Google Drive and you're just right-clicking to open something in Smart Learning Suite, or you're at this page and you click Add Activities, the next step is pretty much the same. I am going to import a resource, and I can choose something from my Google Drive. So here I'm going to go to that Smart Learning Suite folder that we just saved from our library, and I am going to select it's not showing all my files for some reason. I'm going to select that file because it seems to be the only file that was showing up, but all the files should show. I'm not sure why that was happening. But so it's importing that file. It's going to bring it into Smart Learning Suite, and it's going to open it. But it's going to let me know, do you want to import all the slides or just one slide? So it gives you flexibility. You might have shared a file that had like 20 slides, but you only want 2 of them. You will be able to pick and choose which files you want. And this must be a really long file too, because this is taking forever. So we're going to cancel out of that, and we're just going to go back here, and we're going to right click on that graphic organizers, and we're going to just open it that way. I'm not sure why it wasn't showing up, so I apologize for that. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to just right click in your Google Drive. You're going to right click on the file that you saved, open with Smart Learning Suite. That will also work for Google Slides. So if you had, for example, here is a Google Slides file. You'll notice it has that yellow rectangle icon. I could right click, open with, and I could open it with Smart Learning Suite, so it automatically converts it for me. So those are the different ways to get started. Once the file's opened, you click on the 3-line menu and you click Edit. Sometimes it'll open in the edit mode, sometimes it opens in presentation. The easiest way to tell the difference: when you are in presentation mode, your toolbar is black and it's on the left. When you are in edit mode, your toolbar is white and it's on the top. And you'll also see all your slides to the left. Now, do you remember from the notebook lesson on Wednesday that we talked about locking stuff down? Did your presenter talk about locking? So you want to get in the same habit on Smart Learning Suite. So if you have something like, for example, this graphic organizer, notice that all of my text is locked. Now, when you were on Smart Learning Suite compared to Smart Notebook, you don't have the option to lock vertically, lock horizontally. It's only lock and unlock. But you want to lock stuff down before you do what I'm about to show you. Down here at the bottom, it says this page is view only on student devices. Convert to an activity. If I click convert to an activity, it gives me 2 options. Make it a handout or make it a workspace. Handout is like what you guys did before. So do you remember when I had you as the students, you did that little graphic organizer of the word text? That was a handout. When I turn this into a handout, now every student is going to be working on their own on it. However, if that text wasn't locked down, the students can move the text, they could delete the text. A lot of different things could happen. So you want to lock that text down before you make that worksheet. The students would then have their toolbar and they'd be able to go in. I just heard someone come off of mute. Is there a question? Okay. If you, after you made it a handout, if you realize you have to change something, you click edit. It warns you that it's going to clear any work the students did. So don't edit a worksheet once students started doing work. That is a big, big thing. So someone else just wrote, handouts are graded, workspaces are not. Is that accurate? That is not accurate. You can grade workspaces too. We actually did not have a workspace during our demo. What a workspace is it allows you to do a collaborative activity. So I'm going to actually turn this into the workbook. I'm going to hit finish editing because I saw that I still have 4 people logged into my class as students. So I'm going to just show you what workbooks would be. So if I have it as a workspace, I click setup and it asks me how many teams I want. So I'm going to do, since I have 4 students in my virtual class right now, I click 2 teams and it puts them onto teams. I could switch the names around so I can, even though it randomizes it, I can select who's on which team. And when I as the teacher am happy, I click start. Now, instead of each student getting their own copy, these 2 students are on one worksheet. These 2 students are on another worksheet. So if I was to click here, both of those students could be writing at the same exact time. I don't know if you guys are actually still in the web browser or if your names were just still listed there. I'm not going to actually ask you to write anything. But that is the difference between handout and workspace is single student, multiple students. You can also set up a workspace. I'm going to just come here and hit the gear. I'm going to end the lesson and restart it. If you select everyone on one team, that is when your entire class, whether you have 5 students or 50 students, everyone is on that same page. So that's really good for like brainstorming, or if, remember how before in a notebook, you know, you call kids up to the board and they all come up and they write, and then the next kid writes and they're all writing on one whiteboard. Now they could all do it from their computers. They wouldn't have to get up to the board. They can all do it and it would just show for everyone. So that is what the workspace is. I'm going to go back into edit because I want to show you now. What if you wanted to have this same worksheet twice? You'll notice it has those 3 lines underneath it, the 3 dots. If you click the 3 dots, you can duplicate the slides. So that is a really great thing. And right now, I haven't added anything else. Everything we're looking at was in that one presentation that I downloaded from the resources. So what if I want to add my own stuff, right? You guys kind of want to customize this a little. There's a blue plus sign right here at the bottom. You are going to click that blue plus sign and it reopens the add content. You can add more, you can add another file, you can add another PowerPoint. It will import it and it'll ask you which slide. So you can open up a Google Slides and pick one slide and just add that. You could add a YouTube video. When you want to add a YouTube video, let's say Mars rover. I can find the video, I click add. I now have the YouTube video. Notice it creates it as a separate slide. The benefit of this is it gets rid of all the commercials. So you don't have to worry about ads at the beginning of the video. When you hit play, it just plays. Of course, I picked a 2-hour video. We're not going to watch the whole 2-hour video. It does show you when you hit pause, though, it will give you more videos. So it's not going to get rid of everything, but it does get rid of those ads at the beginning. You can add games. So just like when you did Notebook, you have those same game options, but you actually have other ones. Team Quiz and Word Search are only available on the cloud. They are not available on Notebook. Team Quiz is honestly, oops, I didn't mean to start that. Team Quiz is honestly the same exact concept at, why am I not able to click what I want to click? It's the same concept as Monster Quiz. I give up. I cannot click what I want. There we go. But instead of the monsters, and it's showing you the monsters, it just has these little colored donuts. So especially for high school where the kids might not like those monster graphics, they find them kind of babyish, Team Quiz gives them that same ability. It allows them to have the competition. It allows them to review the concepts. But instead of having monsters, it's just going to have colors that show the progress and the percentage of points. So that is the difference between Team Quiz and Monster Quiz, is just the graphics. The word search, you put all your words and then it will randomly create a word search for your students to play. None of these games are gradable, with the exception of responses. Did you guys talk about response on Wednesday when you did Notebook? No, okay. So what response does is you can make up your questions. So like you would make your quiz, you'd add all the questions, you click next, you click finish. The students would be able to answer the questions on their own devices, but you as the teacher would get an Excel spreadsheet with all of their answers. It will color code that Excel spreadsheet. So what's really cool, I'm going to just go back here for a moment. You see the progress, so you see what percentage of the students are done, all of that. When you click end activity, there's the option right here that says export results. It'll export an Excel spreadsheet. That Excel spreadsheet is going to be conditionally formatted. For those of you that don't know what conditionally formatted means, basically, if they got the answer right, it'll be green. If they got the answer wrong, it'll be red. It automatically color codes the correct and incorrect answers. It will also give you the percentage of correct answers along with the point total of correct answers. So whether you do your grade book as points or percentages, you have both numbers on that spreadsheet. You can see quickly, all right, question number 5 is really red. I need to review that concept. They all got it wrong. Oh, question 7 is green. They know that. I can go on. So responses is really good for collecting data. It's really good for like minor assessments. I wouldn't use it for like a full-blown test because, you know, obviously the kids are sitting there on the internet. If you're doing this remotely, the kids are, let's face it, they probably have Google open in another tab. So I wouldn't use it for like a test, but it's really good for like a quick, let's see what you guys know before I move on to the next thing. It's good for like exit tickets. You would also have, if I go back into the edit mode, you'll also see that instead of having just yes or no questions, maybe not, let me delete all the questions. Oh, sorry, it's up here where it says question type. I can do polls. So I could say like, do you guys want pizza or chicken fingers for lunch today? So I can use this one in homeroom to take lunch orders. And then when the class is finished ordering their lunches, I hit export the Excel spreadsheet and I have the lunch orders to pass off to the cafeteria. So there's a lot of different things you can do with responses. It just all depends on what you as the teacher want to do. So what I want you guys to do right now is I am going to give you about, let's see, it's 1 o'clock. We're going to kind of combine try it on your own time and a break together. So I want you guys to try some stuff on your own. I want you to create some slides. I want you to import some slides, add some activities. And then I also want to give you a little bit of a break. So we're going to come back together as a group at 1:30. So I'm going to give you a half hour, so 20 minutes to try some stuff out on your own. I am going to be sitting here the whole time. So ask questions if you need to, put them in the chat, put them on, come off of mute. But I want you guys to import one presentation, make some worksheets, add some games, see what else you can do. And we'll come back at 1:30 as a group to continue on. For the person that just asked about using Pear Deck or Nearpod presentations, you can't import them. However, I believe, don't quote me on this because I haven't personally tested it. If you are able to export like a Nearpod to PDF, you could then import the PDF to Smart Learning Suite. I know a lot of stuff, websites, files, articles, if you were able to download it as a PDF, you can import PDFs to Smart Learning Suite in that add content option. Yeah, the activities wouldn't copy over with it. You'd have to remake the activities. Yes, if you're using like a Nearpod or Pear Deck in your browser, then it would work the same as any other browser, and your smartboard, your hand would just be the mouse. So whatever you could do on the browser, you can do on your smartboard.
I have a question.
Yep.
So if I import Google slide presentation, there's that option to convert to activity and then make it a handout or a workspace. And then it says edit. Nothing happens after I click edit. Is it just the buttons up there where I can add text, or is it adding a picture?
It's the adding text and pictures, but here's that word edit is kind of like a little bit of a misnomer for that purpose. Yeah. So when you import, whether it's a Google Slides or PowerPoint or a PDF, when you import, what it's kind of doing on the back end is taking a screenshot of the slide and saving it as a picture. So that import is the full slide, but it's not editable. Like you can't change the text and stuff because it took a picture of it. So here, what I'm gonna reshare my screen. And I'll probably end up showing this again when everyone else comes back, but you know, whatever. All right, so if I go into my Google Slides and I go to add, so let me go to my file. So I'm gonna come here to this PDF. Actually, I'll do a Google Slides. So we'll import this Google Slides. And what's gonna happen is you will see after it reads them, it's gonna show me those little thumbnails. What slides do I wanna import? I am just going to import the third slide, the one that says hyperlinks, and I'm going to click add. So it now added it right there. You'll notice that my hyperlink does still work from my PowerPoint or from my Google Slides, but it's right now it's locked down. If I unlock this, see how the whole slide is just one picture? So you're not able to edit the content of the slide, but I'm all tongue-tied, I apologize. When you hit the edit button, you can go in and add text. The other thing that I didn't show you guys yet that I was going to show you after the break is that verbal direction. So like right here, you click that little guy and you record directions for the slide. And then right there is the verbal directions. So that's another thing that technically would be considered editing, but yeah, like I can't like highlight this text and change it. That's just a picture of text.
Is there like any, like, I guess I'm still trying to understand this.
No, that's the point of today.
Everything?
That's why I
Okay.
gave you that 20 minutes to kind of play by yourself so you can come up with these questions because you don't know what you haven't tried.
Yeah. Is there an animation feature like Google Slides does so that
No.
when students go through it, they can click no? Okay,
No.
so not even in the notebook.
No, there's no transitions and stuff in Notebook.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you though, I haven't shown you this yet either, and I will obviously show this again to everyone. So not in edit. So when you hit finish editing and you're in the actual presentation, if you click the 3-line menu at the very bottom, so you have to scroll down, request a feature is an option. And I'll even actually put this link directly in the chat. Smart really does listen to teachers. So I know it's rare, right? Every idea that like some of the stuff I'm showing you today didn't exist 2 months ago. Like they really are constantly improving and constantly adding features. And this is where they get those features. People will say like, hey, I want to have a co-teacher. I want to be able to have my student teacher grade students' work. Because right now you can't. Right now it's a single teacher per notebook. So you would come up here where it says enter your idea and like, let's say you write co-teacher. It will show you like, okay, there's 2 separate requests that have the word co-teacher in the request. And you would read it and you'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And you click vote. And it asks you to put your email address. Because you'll actually get an email if Smart adds that feature. So you vote on it. Yeah, you're emailing me. I'm not clicking anything right now, Smart. Knock it off. All right, let me go back. So let's say that you went to try to find an idea and you typed in co-teacher and it came up with 0 responses. So you could, if you didn't vote for one of the existing ones, it says post a new idea. And it says, well, give us some more details. Don't just tell us co-teacher. So you would write like a little description of what you want. You click post and other people can vote on it. Whenever the programmers at Smart are sitting there twiddling their thumbs because they're done with their last project, this is where they come to get the next project. So put those ideas in. If you want to be able to have animation, I think I just spelled animation wrong. Nope. All right. Object animation doesn't work in SLS Online. Allow animation from Google Slides to function. So like, again, you would just come here, you click vote. I'm going to log in with Google this time so it doesn't try to send me an email. And I voted. And now that went up from 11 to 12. And if it gets enough votes, that'll be the next thing that Smart looks at. So they really do listen to teachers. All right, it is. Oh, yeah, someone else had a question.
Yes, thank you. This might be something you covered. I apologize if it is. Is there a kind of maybe forum feature that would allow a teacher to post a question and students to all respond, see each other's responses, respond to responses, like that kind of a thing, like a discussion base, or is it more individual activities to individual students?
So if you wanted them to do that kind of responding, you can do one of those workspaces. So I'm going to click here and just put a blank slide.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would put my discussion topic. So let's say airplanes, because we were talking about Wright brothers before. So I put my title up here. I lock it so that they can't accidentally move it. I'm going to delete that extra text. And then I click convert to activity and I make it a workspace. When I go out of editing and I go into my slide, I click set up the workspace and I put everyone on one team. By having everyone on one team, this single whiteboard is now accessible to every student in the class. So like student 1 could write over here and student 2, and I do have 3 people who are still logged in, so please feel free to write on my screen if you want. But they could all be writing and responding to each other. That's the closest I can think of to what you're asking about.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Now, if you wanted the students to all respond, but you don't want them to respond to each other. So if you wanted to just like pose a question and have them all see each other's answers, that would be a good use of Shout It Out. So Shout It Out, you can put the question. So I'll write airplanes. You could actually put categories. So you could have, like, let's say your shout out was describe the character. I could do category 1, Romeo, category 2, Juliet. How many responses I'm allowing each kid to give me? They can give me, I'm going to just put 10. So I know that none of the kids run out of space. Click next. Choose the classic background, which is just a pin board, or I can customize it and I could actually import images as a background. Click next. So you'll see right here, it shows me Romeo, it shows me Juliet. I click finish. Now, here's the thing. On the students' devices, so if you're one of these 4 students who are still in my class, you're only going to see a text box with a pull-down menu. And that is a beautiful Alaskan Husky on the screen. I love that dog. So cute. Sorry. I'm like the kids. I get distracted so easily by people's little like pictures on the screen. So the kids would be able to put something in the text box, and then the pull down menu, they would select what side of the pull down menu it goes to. And when they hit submit, like you can just see, Kevin wrote, huh. Now, if Kevin wrote female under Romeo, I can move that to Juliet, so I can still drag it back and forth, or we can get into a discussion about transgender and all of that if your school is that clear. Like, I don't know. That was a bad example, so I was trying to cover myself. But so that is how it works. Now the students are only seeing the text box, so you would have to share this on like your Zoom call or on your smart board or whatever for the students to see each other's answers. Another really good use of shout out that I like to tell teachers about, if you click on this gear, so you have your shout out, click on the gear, you can turn off display names. Now, if someone posts, it doesn't show their name. It just puts like a colored dot, like pin, holds the pin on the paper. This is great for health teachers, because if you have those kids that have embarrassing questions, but you know, they don't know what to say, let them ask the embarrassing questions anonymously because it won't show their name. You as the teacher though, let's say that some kid wrote something and you're really concerned. You're like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. I need to let the guidance counselor or the principal or whoever know. After class, don't do this when you're sharing screens. Please don't do this when you're sharing the screen. You come back to the gear and you turn the display names back on. Now you can see like, okay, this green icon was Kevin Little. Kevin Little's image is right here on the screen. And Hammer, I will repeat this in 2 seconds for you. Whoever just wrote the response on the last one, if you can just send a response to this screen, you could just write hi, you could write whatever, just send something so I have a student on the screen. And then I'll show Hammer what I was just talking about. All right, so you can see because I have the names turned off, it just says, how do I know what I'm doing? And it has that green star, but it doesn't tell me who the green star is. So let's say that that's something I need to send to the guidance counselor. When the kids leave the class or when I turn off screen sharing, I click on the gear and now I can see who's who. I see the green star is this Buck. If I turn display names back on, I could see Buck right there. Pull the screen out so you can get it all in the screenshot. But you would be able to take a screenshot just like that. And now you can send that screenshot to the guidance counselor with the name and the question and the comment that they posted. So I request to be called Buck from now on. Sorry, that's just how it shortens your name.
That's fine. I'm just being silly.
All right. But that's how you can use this anonymously. So the kids feel safer. They have that open space where they don't have to worry about, oh, the other kids are going to notice my handwriting when they put it under the projector, or under the document camera. Or, oh, they're going to see my email address attached to it. And it's completely anonymous for the kids. However, again, as a teacher, you turn those names back on, and if it's something really concerning, you know who it was, so you can pass it up the food chain to the guidance, to the principal, to the parents, to whoever needs to know what the kid is asking. That as a health teacher is quasi-normal, but quasi-concerning. And I use health as the example because I just know that's where you get most of the embarrassing questions from kids. Most of the time. All right. Yes.
Did you change this activity? What happened to Romeo and Juliet? That was a different one.
Different page.
Okay.
Yep, it was
Just
2
wanted
pages.
to see.
Yep. So when you're in, so I'm right now in presentation
Okay.
mode, not edit mode. You still have a plus sign. You can add a shout out on the fly like that. You could add a blank whiteboard like that. So if you were doing, like, if you're a math teacher and you did those problems and the kids are like, I still don't get it, you could add another blank whiteboard and do another demo, like another sample expression right there. You don't have to first go into the edit, add a slide. So shout outs and whiteboards can be done directly from presentation mode.
Okay.
The only difference is when you do shout out from the shortcut, you can't put a title. And you can't change like how many responses. All right, so for those of you that did not get this while you were out on break, because I did get one really good question. Let's say you have Google Slides. You can import the Google slide, but it imports the whole slide as a single image. So I want to just show you this. I just unlocked it, and you can see that I move this. It's moving everything, the background, the pictures, all of it. So if you find like all of a sudden you realize like, oh no, I spelled smart wrong. You can't just like double click on it and fix the spelling of smart. It is an image of the Google slide. The reason you want to do that lock is because even though it's an image, if it's unlocked, you go to write with your pen, but you forgot to change to the pen and you're still on the finger, and all of a sudden your whole slide just shifts. So you want to get in that habit of always locking your slides. The other edit options for images on Smart Learning Suite, when you pull down that arrow, duplicate, so you can make a second copy, delete it, infinite cloner like you saw in Smart Notebook. You have that here as well. So you can drag as many copies as you want. So a lot of good little features. You only, when you're editing in Smart Notebook, I'm going to just put a blank slide for a moment. The only things you can really add to a slide are text and images. So you can't you can't add like backgrounds, hyperlinks, all of that stuff. If you have them on your Google slide, when you convert to a Smart Notebook or to a Smart Suite, you'll see my Google still works, or it was before. On my original, the Google link still works. So I guess when you duplicate it, it doesn't, but, or maybe once I duplicated it, it got rid of the link. The hyperlinks do still work when you convert normally though, just not once you start playing around with it. The other thing, I cannot move something to the back. So when you are adding images and then you're adding text, you have to make sure you're adding it in the order. So if you want a picture to be the background, you have to put the picture first and then put text. Forgot to highlight it before I made it bigger. So like here now the text isn't on top of the smiley face, but the text that I typed before goes underneath the smiley face. You can't change the order, so you have to put stuff down in the order you want it. Kevin wrote why. Was that why to calling him Buck? Or is that why to something I just
Why
said?
copy the slides infinitely?
I was just showing you that you could do that with any image.
Oh, okay. That's a
Yeah,
good point.
it wasn't the
Excellent
slide
point.
itself. I was just using the slide as the example. I apologize for confusing you there. See, that's why asking questions is great, Kevin. Thank you. I didn't even realize that I had made that confusion. All right. So what we're going to do now is we are going to talk about how to share this out to our students. Then we are going to go back in and talk more about like the collaborative stuff. So we've been talking about the individual assignments. We talked about creating assignments, but now we want to talk more about the collaborating, the different things that you can do with your students. We also want to talk about sharing the files with our students. So I am going to click finish editing here. And we're going to exit the lesson. So that way I go back to my home screen. So now that we're in our home screen, I have today's lesson that I did with you guys. I'm clicking. I seriously am like losing my mind. I'm trying to click. I was trying to click end and I clicked edit and now it's, I apologize. I'm like losing my mind today. All right, so here we go. So this was today's lesson. I am going to come here and click on the 3 dots. And there is an option that says share link. When I click share link, it gives me 2 options. Share with a teacher, share with the students. Here's the difference between those 2 links. Share with a teacher is pretty much like making a photocopy and handing it off to the other teacher. Once they click on that link, they're going to have their own copy of the file, and I'm going to send that link to you guys now. It's going to save a copy of that file in that teacher's Google Drive. But if I was to now go in and edit it, the teacher who already made a copy doesn't see my edits. Once they make the copy, it is like, again, like a photocopy. You handed them the packet and then you change your packet. They have the packet you gave them, not the packet you now have. So giving a copy to the teacher is going to just give them a carbon copy of what you had at the moment they click the link. If you share the student link, you would be able to copy and paste that link, put it in your Google Classroom, your Schoology, your email, whatever you use to communicate with students, and they could click on that link anytime, and they can go in at their own pace. Excuse me. They could go in at their own pace and they can participate. And now because I am currently logged in as myself, I'm going to unshare for a moment. I'm going to open that same link in a incognito window, and then I am going to share the incognito window. Oh, I shared the wrong window. So as a student, when I put in that link, it says, welcome student, use your account to log in. So you click sign in, it's going to force the kids to log in with Google and Microsoft. They can't log as a guest when they're at asynchronous. So you would have to use your Google or your Microsoft accounts, but they would log in. It might not let me because I'm the teacher on the class and I'm trying to log in as a student. All right, so to open this lesson in class as a teacher, you'll need to sign. See, now it's trying to make me sign in as a teacher. So the students wouldn't obviously have that conflict of student-teacher, but it would open it up for them the same way as when you guys were logged into my notebook earlier. So they would legitimately just see the file. They'd be able, the arrows would be active, so they'd be able to scroll through on their own. When they get to an assignment like this, they can click start, they can do it. When they get to an assignment like this, they can click start, they can do it. So that is what that student link does. The student link just lets them back into class. So for you guys, you want that top link. You want, when I'm sharing this with you right now and I'm giving it to you so you have the notes and everything for later, you want the top link, because that's the one that's going to make you a teacher copy of the link of the notebook. All right. So back in the Smart Learning Suite, when we started, I talked about the fact that if you have multiple sections, you want to create multiple files. And the reason for that is all of the collaborative activities, once students start it, you can't add more students. So if you have your first period class and then you go to start second period, it'll delete the entire first period to let the second period students in. So what you want to do is you are going to click on those three. So you're going to make your template. You're going to make your master copy, your presentation. Then you would click the three dots and click make a copy. It is legitimately going to make an exact copy of that presentation. What you're then going to want to do is once it makes the copy, you want to go into edit so you can change the name of the second file. So just give this a moment because it is always takes longer when I'm doing presentations than when I'm doing this like sitting at my desk. I cannot explain why, but always takes longer when I'm waiting, when other people are watching my screen. There we go. So you'll see it gives me the option to start the lesson or edit the lesson. So I am going to click edit and it brings me into the edit page that we were in before. You'll see all my slides are right there, the same as before. One thing I didn't show you before though that I want to show you now is how to change the file's name. To change the file's name, you are just going to click up here on the file. So just like Google Docs, you're just going to click up there on the file and you would call this class 2 or whatever you want to call it. But you are able to change the file name. You'll see it's already saved. I finish editing and now I have my original file and I have my class 2 file. So the benefit of that is you now have separate files for your separate classes. If we go back to our Google Drive, you'll see that second class file open. If I right click, I can see show file location and it saved that file right there in my main folder. So I didn't drag that to a special folder. It just saved it right on my main top level drive folder. So I could right click, move the file, and I am going to go to my training folder, to your schools folder and click move here. And now that file is neatly saved in that folder. So whatever folder you were in on Google, this is just a repeat from earlier, whatever folder you were in from Google when you open Smart Learning Suite is where it's going to save the files. So because I went directly to Smart and I didn't go through Google, it saves it to my Google main folder. So you'll notice that my main drive folder starts to get pretty full if I don't start moving stuff around where it needs to go. So that's again, a reason you just always want to get in the habit of starting from Google Drive and being in the folder where you want the file saved. Okay. I am going to go back in to edit this for a moment. Actually, I'm going to go back in and edit this, and I'm going to pull in slides from a different presentation because I want to just show you another little something that comes in handy. So we were talking before about how the games, you can't play those games, like the kids can play those games, but you as the teacher can't grade them. And that's something that a lot of teachers are like, well, how do I give them something as a classwork assignment if I can't grade it later? Well, again, those games are for reinforcement, they are for entertainment, they are for engagement. If you want to be able to grade the assignment. And I just added 2 slides. So if you already clicked copy, you probably actually want to wait so that you get these 2 slides after. So I apologize. I should have told you I was going to add more stuff. But like this game right here is called a ranking. And it has really cool animation of a basketball player. I'm going to delete that one. So we're going to go right here. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to click my game-based activity. I am going to do a rank order. And I would say like -10, or sorry, I would do my first number is -10, my last number is 10. And then I can go in here and I could type in a bunch of numbers. You do have to make sure that the answers are in the correct order. So my closest to -10 is going to be top. My highest number is going to be the bottom. I click next. I like the basketball players, so I'm going to click the basketball players, and there's my animated game. So now my students can come in and they can test their basketball skills, and it has really cool graphics, but you can't actually grade it as a teacher. As the teacher, what you can do is you can create a blank page. And you're going to lock down, actually, let me hang on. And you're going to just create that blank page. Lock down what you don't want the kids to move. Write the directions. And then what you would do is every number that you want the kids to be able to drag, you are going to make its own text box. I'm not going to do a lot of numbers. But so now I have these 5 numbers down here that are random. I can come over here and get it like go to the web search, get a box. Or maybe square outline. There we go. So I put in that square. I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to duplicate it so that I have 5 of them. Lock them so that the kids can't move the boxes. And then now that I have the game made up, I click convert to activity and I make it a handout. Notice now the kids can't move the boxes, the kids can't move the oh, I forgot to lock the directions. but the kids can drag the numbers. If you remember, I told you before that you can't change what's on top. I should have drawn the boxes before I added the numbers. So notice the numbers are going under the boxes. I see someone shaking their head at me like, I can't believe you did that. You're supposed to know better. I know, I should, I'm sorry. But that's it. That's one way to do it. The other way is, again, if I go into that Google slide file that I already showed you, my files are always hiding from me when I need them. There we go. So one of the reasons I really like doing it in Google Slides first, you're going to see the difference in about 2 seconds. So by creating this game in Google Slides and then importing it, what you'll see is it takes that whole background and locks it down as that image, and then you would just add your text boxes on top. So I come in here, I have that slide already created. So now, where did it add it? There we go. So now I have that slide that says drag the numbers from least to greatest. So I just create my text boxes. And you can see now I have this lovely game. And if I convert that to the activity, the students can't drag the directions, they can't drag the grid, but they can drag the numbers. So that is how you, as the teacher, you created the game yourself, and now you do have the ability to grade it. So if I was to finish editing and someone was still logged in as in my class, I don't know if any of you are logged in still. But if you were to be logged in, I could see student progress and I could see where you drag those numbers. So that is the big difference, again, between those teacher-made activities and the student and the smart-made activities. Smart, definitely better graphics. Smart definitely has the animation, the music, the fun. Teacher-made activities gives you the ability to actually grade the work. So it's really important to just recognize those differences. You can make pretty much every game. It's just going to be a matter of, are they as graphically beautiful? Mine obviously are not. Yours might be. I mean, especially the art teachers, they probably have amazing looking graphic design, right? So that's just a big one. What I want to do right now is we are going to go back into collaboration mode now. And I want you to, again, actually log into the class. So I am going to put my class code back down in the chat. So if you did log out, you are going to be able to log back in. Try to go through an incognito window again if you can. But we are going to look down further on the slide deck at some of this collaboration that we haven't looked at yet. So we spent the beginning of the lesson talking about independent work, talking about teacher presentation mode, all of that. But now we're going to get into more of the collaboration. And I did already show you shout out. So shout out is one form of collaboration, but we're going to look at some more collaborations, some more ideas. We're going to look at those workspaces, all of that type of stuff to show you what you can do with your students in real time. One drawback to the collaboration is that cannot be done asynchronously. So if you have students that, they click on the link that I shared with you guys to go do the work on their own later, they can only do independent stuff. They can do handouts, they can do games, they can't do collaborative spaces. Collaborative spaces and shout outs can only be done in real time with the teacher. All right. So we're going to start with a shout out because I want you all, we already kind of showed you what shout out looks like, but now that you're all logged back in, I want you to tell me one challenge that you have faced this week. So go ahead and just type in, and you know what? I'm going to even turn off your display names. Hang on. I'm turning off the display names. so that your administrator doesn't see who's who. Go ahead and put one challenge that has faced you this week. One thing that you kind of needed to get over that hump a little bit. All right. So one person wrote anxiety. Somebody else wrote, oh, I like that answer. Spring fever in the students. Yeah, especially those seniors with that senioritis. I mean, that's got to be tough this time of year. Senioritis is a real disease. I am truly believing that. Getting all the assignments graded before the marking period ends. See what else we got. Junioritis. Wow, junioritis already. Oh, that's moving down. Next thing you're going to know, you're going to have the kindergartners with kindergartenitis. Actually, that probably is a real thing. Getting out of bed. So many parents with so many excuses for their children. Yeah, this is the time of year for parents to make excuses. Learning to use smart technology. I do really hope that these sessions so far have been helpful in kind of easing that. If not, please keep asking questions. That's the point. Grading and contacting parents. All right. Again, the entire smart thing. Okay. Anxiety. I think we're now, retention prevention. I feel like this is a little late in the year to be worried about that. Is there still time to prevent it? If they're that far behind that they're risking retention, is there still time? I wonder. I hope so. I mean, I would hate to have to hold a kid back, especially this year has been rough on its own. But someone said there's always time. All right, awesome. I love the positive attitude. Awesome. All right, getting all grades in. I think we're kind of repeating now. Learning this new tool, feeling overwhelmed. It is a little overwhelming, so don't panic about that. You're going to have plenty of support moving forward. This is not a one and done training. I know that there's going to be another, like I said, I'm 90% positive. It's already on my calendar for like August, that when you guys are coming back to get training with the boards that have been installed, hopefully at that point, but also for refreshers on the software, you're going to have help. Like, you're going to have my email address. You're going to have the smart text trainers email addresses, because I know Smart is doing some of the sessions, Visual Sound is doing some of the sessions, but you are going to have every contact information you need. So please do not think that you are being left to learn how to swim when you still have floaties on. You will have support throughout this whole process. All right. While we're looking at the shout out, I want to point out again, your screens do not show all the answers. You as a student just see the text box. The only way that you are seeing all of the answers is because I'm sharing my screen on Zoom. So this stuff would all stay on the teacher screen, not on the student screen. So I want to just point that out to you. Oh, so your screen just has the text box. It doesn't even have the question. Is that correct? Our screen doesn't show the question either.
Yeah, I just have a box for submit the response.
Okay. So this,
I didn't know if I could, like, if it was in a different spot, if I had to click something to see the question.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. Remember I mentioned as you were coming back from the break that Smart listens to teachers and adds features as teachers want something. Adding the question to the shout out is a new feature that just came out like 2 weeks ago. Adding the backgrounds to the shout outs came out at the same time. Like, they did a massive update on shout out. I haven't explored the student side of it enough, so I honestly assume the question showed on the students, and I guess it doesn't. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so that's all of that. Now, if I wanted to reset this, it always gives you a warning. So don't panic about accidentally deleting the student's work, because it warns you before you cancel. Sorry. Another thing, let's say whoever wrote testing something, I'm going to use you as my example. Let's say that was inappropriate and I want to get it off my screen really fast. I can throw it in the trash can. So you just drag it up to the trash, let go, and it will delete. So thank you, Testing Something, for giving me an example that I could quickly throw off the screen. But you do have that trash can option. Remember again, though, if you want to share something with your guidance counselor, you would want to click on the gear to pull up the list of names, drag whatever comment you want to share to the guidance counselor close to the list of names so that you can screenshot it all in one go, and then just take a screenshot. It does save in your Smart Suite. So like if I go to another slide and then I come back here later, I can still see all the answers. They don't delete. So I could do this after class. I don't have to take that screenshot while the kids are sitting in the room, obviously. But you do have the ability to go back and do that after. So we're going to now look at a workspace. And I mentioned before that I could set it up for the whole class. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to click everyone on one team. And you're going to all see the same screen. And as soon as one person starts to write on it, all of you start to write on it. Like you will see everyone's stuff. So what connection can you make with this quote? I want you to either type or write something about this quote that connects to you. And then you'll notice the stars are infinite cloners. And I see 2 people have already dragged the stars out, or one person dragged 2 stars out. Notice it shows me who did it. So I want you to write something that connects to you with this quote, and then I want you to drag a star next to the other classmates' work that kind of says, you're like, oh yeah, that's great. So I love how you're all just moving the star. Oh, somebody put a rock climbing picture. I love that. That's a great connection to challenges. So I would come over and I'd drag a star onto the rock climbing, and then you move the rock climbing on me. See what you do. But I would drag a star over to rock climbing because, yeah, that is a great example. You'll notice that you don't actually see the motion of the stars moving. You just kind of see when the person lets go of the mouse. Same thing with the text. If somebody goes to type right now, until that person clicks out of the text box, you won't see it on your screen. When they click out of the text box, it'll pop up on the screen.
Think about this quote. Challenges.
Oh, somebody else just turned on the directions. I haven't even shown you how to do that yet. So please make sure I show you how to do directions, because I showed that during the break to a couple people. I want to make sure everyone gets it. All right, so let's see. We have Lily put the rock climbing, and Alexander put yoga. My overachiever just put the sunset. Every time I've asked everyone to participate, you're like the first one that does something. That's why I called you my overachiever, but I love it. Ooh, Tron. Anyone see the previews of the new Tron roller coaster that's opening in Disney? It is awesome. And if you're not a Disney fan, I'm so sorry. Marvel's opening this week. Tron is opening in a few months. Oh, it's going to be great. All right, we have whitewater rafting and a kayak. That is scary. I can't even kayak on smooth water. I can't imagine doing it on whitewater. All right. So I am going to move on from this collaborative document, and we're going to look at a video right now, because this video has some great stuff that's going to really come into play. What you're going to notice on your screen is the button says play, and you could all watch this by yourself. So I am going to give you, I think the video, hang on. The video is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I am going to give you 3 minutes to watch the video, and then we'll come back as a group to discuss it. All right, so I think that should have been enough time at this point. So what I want to do, actually, I don't have a slide for this, but I'm kind of interested in something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my plus sign. I am going to create a whiteboard. and I am going to turn this whiteboard into a collaborative space right now. So just to go through those steps of what I just did, I click on the plus sign and I clicked on whiteboard to create a blank white slide. And then I am going to put a text on here. So I'm going to put a question on the top. Now, because I'm doing this in whiteboard, I can't, I can't lock it down when I'm in the whiteboard. So I just wanted to point that out. You cannot lock it down, but I am now going to click on my people, and because it gives me the opportunity to turn this into a workspace. So I am again going to put everyone on one team so you could all write on this whiteboard, and look how easy I added while we went. I added a collaborative activity right here. So I want you guys to either use the pen or a picture or this text box. What are your thoughts about growth mindset? Just go ahead and put it right on the whiteboard. Somebody's moving my question around. So that's a great example of when I was mentioning to you guys, locking everything down before you turn it collaborative for the students. Unfortunately, if you're in the shortcuts, you can't lock it down, but thank you for whoever was moving it around. Thank you for being that great prime example. Growth mindset is an explosion. Okay. It's an interesting one. Ooh, I like that picture. I want to find the source of that picture because I want to make a copy of that. That is a great picture. Thank you. I'm saving that picture, so thank you. That's a great one. See, I get great stuff from you guys. Ah, the tree of education. Love it. Okay. So again, this is just showing you how to quickly make a collaborative activity while we went. All I did was I clicked the plus sign, I made a whiteboard, and then to turn the whiteboard into a collaborative space, I click on my people, and now it says workspace because obviously it's a workspace, but before it said handout or collaborative activity. If you want to know who put what, I can click on the image, pull down the arrow, and it shows me who added it. Seriously. Oh, I just thought it was funny. I keep clicking on your stuff first, but at least someone else put something. So we have stuff added by different people. So again, it's a great tool to get that interactive collaboration. It gets your students involved so they're no longer just passively watching the presentation. They're engaged and they're acting within it. So this is another example of a activity that you can do. I'm going to just keep everyone on one team. I'm going to show you another activity where I do small groups just so you can see the difference. But for this one, the whole graphic organizer is locked down, but the words, you'll notice, are not. So you can drag those words into the web. If I wanted to reset this, so if I wanted instead, and I just canceled it, I'm going to start this again because this time I want to start it, but I want to have 4 teams. So it's randomly assigning my teams. And then once I have my team set, again, if you don't like the team, you can trade the names. So you're not forced to use their auto randomness. But I'm going to hit start. And now on my screen, I see my 4 teams. On your screens, you'll only see your own team. So if I go into team 2, I could see what team 2 is doing. So I could see how they drag their words. I can then go over to team 3 and see how they drag their words. So you're only working with the students in your team. You're not working with the whole class this time. But as the teacher, I can come in here and I could either show them on the board, show them on the Zoom call, or I can grade them. So the workspaces are really great for just giving you that flexibility and other fun stuff like that. Now, what I want to show you is if I go to student pacing now, because you're already in your teams, when you go backwards to other activities, you should be able to continue on them. However, I cannot add new students to a workspace. So let's say that, I'm looking at the names on my screen. Let's say that one of the Kellys came to class late. You know, they had a late pass from the nurse. They're legitimately late. If I already started a workspace, I can't get Kelly in now. Once you start the workspace, it's started. The only way to add a new student is to reset the entire workspace. So please be aware of that when you're using collaborative activities. Everyone has to be logged in before you hit start. Otherwise, you'd have to reset it for everyone in order to get that last student in. All right. So we kind of already talked about the teacher pace versus the student pace, but I did want to just show you, we have a slide in the notes for you. Again, I did put that note link. So you just asked, what happens to students who join late? Can they just see the slide but not participate? I'm not positive. I know you can't add them in. What I would recommend doing is, I'm going to show you a little secret, a little trick. Oh, Samantha, you joined late. So what did you see?
It just says, sorry, this activity is recorded. You're all set to join the next one.
Okay. So they can't see the activity. They just get a notification that they have to wait. But what I would recommend doing is in edit lesson, I am going to come up here to my collaborative activity. Yeah, I'll do that collaborative activity. And I click on the 3 dots and I can duplicate the slide. So you'll notice I now have 2 workspaces right next to each other. That first workspace, so I finished editing. There we go. So slide 22 is the one that was already there. And I can see my students' progress. But what I can now do is I have a second one. So those students who came late, I can add them in late. So I could just, either create an all students or just click adding those specific students. But now they have their own file. And as a teacher, I would just have to now toggle between 2 slides. But that's a way to get them in late, is to just do a duplication. So that way you have both copies, or you have a new slide that hasn't started yet. All right. So we were talking, I'm making sure I'm still in. I'm going to go back to student pace. So if you guys wanted to look around it, you can. So you're in student pace now. And what student pace does is it turns the arrows white. So you can go up and down as you please. Teacher pacing forces every student to be on the same slide as you. So when you are set to teacher pace, the kids have these grayed out. So you noticed before your screen was always looking at the same thing as my screen. That's because it was in teacher pace. Student pace is going to allow the students to go move on their own. So if I had again, I'm going to use math as my example. So if I'm the math teacher and I have one slide that we did together as a class, and then I say to the kids, all right, I want you to try the next 5 problems on your own. I turn it to student pace. The students can now go to the next 5 slides and do the problems. Now, could they technically go 7 slides and see what's coming next? Yes. But hopefully your students are going to be respectful and stay just on the 5 slides. The plus side, again, allows you to add extra stuff from the mode while you're in the middle of a presentation. If you have to add stuff that's not in the plus side, as soon as I click edit lesson, your screens as a student will say waiting for teacher to start. So if you have to go out to the full edit screen, it's going to basically put your students on a pause. If you just click plus, add a whiteboard, it doesn't affect the students if they're in student pace. They can keep working as you add more stuff underneath it. All right. So when you are connecting your students to your lessons, you all joined my class and you clicked this option here that said join as a guest. Your students are always going to want to click that blue sign in. The reason, first of all, you'll notice here, I do have a couple of teachers that logged in as their Google account. It shows their real name. If they click log in as a guest, they can make up a funny name. They could write whatever they want. Force them to log in with Google, and you never have to worry about that. If we were to go back to our main lesson and I click edit class, manage guest access, I could actually turn that off. I'm going to leave it on because obviously you guys are all logged in as guests right now. But I could turn it off so they are forced to log in with Google. You want your students to log in with Google every time because I just kicked you all out, didn't I? When I toggled that switch, anyone that wasn't logged in and everyone that was logged in as a guest got kicked out. I thought I toggled it fast enough, sorry. But it would force them to log in with their Google account. And what that does, if I come back to an activity, so like we all did this activity as a class. If you were logged in as a guest, you can't go back later and work on it. I gave you that link in the chat, somewhere in this chat. Where is it? I gave you that link at the beginning when I said I was going to share links with you. If you click on that, if you were logged in with Google, you can continue exactly where you left off. If you're logged in as a guest, you're starting from scratch. Now, as a teacher, the reason I like to point this out is because you notice I still see everyone. Even if you were logged in as a guest and you turned it off, I still have access to your work. So as the teacher, as my mouse hit the wrong thing, as the teacher, you're not losing the student's work. As a student, you can't go back and finish later. So that's the reason you want them to log in with Google every time. One, it's going to force their names to be correct. So that way, when you go to grade stuff, you don't have to think about, well, wait, Kelly, I have two Kellys in here. Which one's this Kelly? It's going to have their full name automatically because they're logged in with Google. It's going to allow them to go back later. I apologize that I'm calling out the Kelly so much, but it's just so helpful when I have two people with the same name as the example. But it's going to allow you to check their work later. It's going to allow them to come back in to do their work. And it's going to allow them to do the asynchronous. When you are asynchronous, when you click on that link, you can't log in as a guest. You have to log in with Google. So it's just very handy to know that that's the difference between logging in as a guest and logging in with Google. The silhouette up here in the top corner, that shows me everyone who's logged in. I can kick people out. So let's say that it's second period and I see Brian is logged. Brian's in my first period class. Why is he still logged in? He probably just didn't leave the class at the end of the day. I can click edit and I could remove Brian. I'm not going to because then he'll have to just log back in. But I could remove him because what that would do is it would make sure that he's going into the right file. When you're in Hello Smart, when you are using the live synchronous lesson, the kids have to log in through Hello Smart. When you are sending them the link on, so when you are going here to the menu and you click share and you give them that link, they don't have to be in your class at the same time. Like you could actually hand out 3 notebook files and the kids could be working on 3 different things. So especially for differentiation, you could have a file for your gifted students and a file for your regular students. And maybe like little Johnny, he needs his own copy because he has a lot of adaptations in his IEP. You can make Johnny his own file and give him different material than everyone else. So that would be this link here, not the Hello Smart. Hello Smart is specifically for the real-time teacher-led lessons. Anything that's asynchronous or differentiated, you're going to give kids their individual links. So, oh, look at that. See, it helps that I'm talking about stuff a slide early, isn't it? Sorry. So again, you're going to click on the 3-line menu, click share, and that's where you're going to get that link. And if you are using Google Classroom, you would come in to create an assignment, click add, and you're going to add a link. Paste the link, and that is how it gets shared to your students. So when you guys make a copy of the presentation I shared with you, this slide here is resources that were created by SMART. So if you go to that bit.ly, and I'll type that into the chat for you as well so you have an easier click. If you do click on it from your screen though, it will open, but I also just put the link in the chat for you. So again, this was created by SMART. They are the ones who set up today's training. I'm again just helping out, so I'm using their slide deck. But this slide right here has all of their resources that they've created for you guys. The last slide is the question slide, but I'm gonna go back into edit for a moment. So we'll go on this slide. What I'm gonna do is I click on my 3-line menu, and I'm going to click edit lesson because I want to show you guys how to put those verbal directions in that you saw on some of the slides. Now, what you do is in edit, you are going to come down here to the bottom and you'll see there's a little icon of a man with lines coming out of his mouth. Kind of looks like it's coming out of his nose from the size of it, but it's speech bubbles. It's coming out of his mouth. And you click on it. And you could record up to 5 minutes, and you'll see it says recording instructions for page 31. Hit start record. This is the directions for how to share your slide deck with your students or colleagues. It recorded the directions. You click add, and now the kids will see that little speech bubble, and they could listen to the directions.
This is the directions for how to share your slide deck with your students or colleagues.
And that's how you would add verbal directions to your slide deck. If you want to delete them, you just click on it and click delete audio. Every slide could have up to 5 minutes. So some things that I've noticed, the bit.ly is hang on, sorry. How did I spell it wrong? I spelled resources wrong on that first bit.ly. I am so sorry about that, Elizabeth. That second one should be spelled correctly. But yeah, so I can come in here and I could put directions on every slide. And what that does is that gives me the ability to differentiate for students. If I have an ESOL student that can't read as well, or can't read English as well, I should say, because they probably read their native language beautifully, I could put the directions in an audio clip to help them out. I have seen science teachers put audio directions for like those big fancy words that none of the kids can pronounce correctly, so that the kids could hear the pronunciation. Same thing for foreign language. I've seen Spanish teachers read the passage in that 5-minute text, so that way the students can hear the accent and the pronunciations and all of those type of things. So that speech bubble is really anything you want to record. It doesn't have to be instructions. All right, so we have a couple more things to go over. We kind of talked about some of it sporadically throughout, but I want to just point things out to you. So when you are in Google Drive, you do not want to make a copy. I don't even think it's an option, is it? Nope, good. It's not even an option. You don't want to make a copy of a SMART file from Google Drive. It doesn't work, so I'm actually glad to see it doesn't have the option. you want to go, so if I wanted to make a copy of this file called class 2, I would right click, open with Smart Learning Suite. And once it opens, I click on the 3-line menu, I make a copy. That is how you make a copy. Once you have the copies made, you can move them around to different folders. So you'll see like it made that copy of class 2, but let's say I have a separate folder for class 2. And in fact, I'm going to go into your class and I'm going to create a folder called Friday, because today's Friday, just because I've been doing multiple trainings for your school system. So I'm going to take that file and I am going to right click, move it. We're going to put it in the folder called Friday, move it, and you'll see now that folder's in the file, and now that file is in the folder where I want it. So once the file is copied, you can move it like any other Google file in your drive, but you want to make the copies through Smart Learning Suite, because that is the only way that the animation, the workspace, the worksheets, the shout outs, the only way it's going to work correctly is if you make the copy through Smart Software. All right, so we have about 30 minutes left. What I want to do right now is I want to give you guys 5 minutes to just explore actually, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to explore the collaboration. Then we are going to come back for about 10 minutes of Q&A and then 10 minutes of next steps, surveys, all that. So 10 minutes to try the collaboration on your own, create a collaborative activity, create a shout out, play around a little bit, see what else you might want to add to your presentations. Then we'll have Q&A and then we'll be done for the day. I will obviously be here during the 10 minutes though, so ask questions if you have them throughout. So someone just sent me a DM that they'd like to make a Frayer map. So what's really cool is you can probably find a template for that in the resources. I haven't actually looked, but what I would recommend is, if you remember, I told you that there's that Smart Exchange. So I just put the Exchange link in the chat for you again. And I would search for Frayer map on there, because you will probably find one that's already been created. Another option, so I'm actually going to search that myself. Okay, so there are some that's weird. It is not letting me type in the chat suddenly. I am going to send this random exe. I don't know why, it just was not letting me delete it. There we go. That link that I just posted for you for the person who was asking about Frayer maps, that is a Frayer map template that was created by a smart resource person. So you can hit save to SLS online and it will save it to your Google Drive. Another option, and I'm going to share my screen again so you can see what I'm doing. So another option is when you create a slide deck, I just got to get into a blank slide. If I click image search, I could search for a Frayer map, and sometimes you're going to find these ones that are filled out like samples, but occasionally you'll get lucky, and here right there is an example of a template. I would then just drag it, make it bigger, make it fit my screen. This one has like Spanish, or I think that's Spanish. It kind of got blurry when I made it bigger. So you could search around for images, but you would then be able to just lock that down and you have it. If you went to that Exchange link that I sent you, So this is the link that I put in there that says exchange.smarttech/prod. So you can see right there is a template for the Frayer model. I would come back into my presentation. I would add a resource from the Google Drive. Somewhere. There it is. Huh. You know what? I just realized what the issue is. So adding the file from Google Drive, you can't add a smart learning suite. You can only add a notebook, because that's what I'm noticing. The file that it's giving me access to, that was a file created in Notebook that I uploaded to my Google Drive. That is not a smart learning suite file right now. So that's probably something they're working on, but you can get the Frayer model from a Google slide. You can create it in a Google slide and import it. You can find it in an image search and import it. But there's tons of ways to get those graphic organizers. If you click on that plus sign, there is one other way. That plus sign at the bottom, graphic organizers is one of their ready-made resources. And Frayer model is one of them. So there we go. There is a clean Frayer model template for you. And there are some other graphic organizers as well.
How do I get there again?
Okay, so are you currently in like the editing screen?
No.
Okay, so you need to start, where are you starting from?
Zoom?
Okay, so what I want you to do is open up your browser and go to Google Drive.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can do that.
Okay. All right, when you are in Google Drive, you are going to click on New, More, and then Smart Learning Suite. Would you like to share your screen so I could walk you through it as you're doing it?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Do you know how to share your screen?
Oh, yeah. Been doing it all year.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure. You know, your school might have been using Google Meet, so you weren't sure how to do. Okay, so you see how under today you already have a copy of that Frayer model that I just sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I want you to do right now, though, is you're not going to hit edit on that. I want you to click up top where it says add activity, the green box. Yep. And when you're in there, if you had a lesson that you already wanted to import, you would click that import resource. But what I was just showing you is down at the bottom, those ready-made resources. Those are just the manipulatives have like some like, you know, algebra blocks, 10 blocks, 100 blocks. So it has some slides with that kind of stuff, coins for coin counting. The graphic organizer is going to have your Frayer model, your Venn diagram, your 2 columns, all of those type of things. The questioning and reflection is just some cute templates for exit ticket type of things. And the same with the activate prior knowledge. They're just some cute templates for you.
Okay. So
But
graphic
that's all
organizer.
there. Yep. So click graphic organizer. You might have already clicked one, but you might have double clicked and it clicked on one of them.
Oh, whoops.
Okay. Let's see what you accidentally opened. All right, so you did a main ideas, details, and summary. If you wanted to delete that, so if that slide was not what you wanted, click on the 3 dots on the left. So you see how underneath the word finish editing?
Right?
Nope, not that one. On the actual like website. So scroll to the left a little bit. Right there, go down.
Oh, these 3 dots.
Yep. That's how you can, oh, you can't delete when it's the only slide on the presentation, but that's how you could delete slides. You could also drag them so you could rearrange them on that toolbar. So once you have multiple slides, you have the ability to rearrange the order. So on the bottom, you see that blue plus sign?
Yes.
Click on that. It's actually walking you through it because this is the first time you're doing this. I haven't seen this because I have done it so many times. I don't get this stuff anymore. So this is saying use the button to add more stuff. So just click next.
And add a Frayer mat.
Click next. I don't know why it's giving you, all right. Yeah, it's walking you through. So now it's saying edit. But I showed you those tools up there. So
All right,
click
so,
got it. Yep.
and
All right, now that plus sign on the bottom left, click it again. And this time it pops up. So click graphic organizer. And then you're going to scroll down till you see the Frayer model. It was up a little bit. You passed it. A little bit more. Right there. The top left.
oh, here it is. Yeah.
All right. So that, you see how now you have 2 pages on your presentation?
Right.
You can now click the 3 dots on the first one to delete it if you didn't want that original thing. Now you'll see delete is available because now you have 2 slides.
Oh, okay.
If you want to make that into the handout for your kids, right down below where it says convert to activity, that's how you turn it into a handout. And that's it. Workspace is multiple students on one, handout is individuals.
Oh, okay. Wow.
See, this is why, like, giving you guys time to actually explore it, sometimes when I'm showing it to you, it can be overwhelming. That's why I like to give you guys plenty of time so you can try it yourself so that you can figure out what questions you still have. But thank you, Kevin, for sharing your screen and being brave enough to show your screen. I appreciate that. I know it's scary sometimes. All right. Does anyone else have some questions that have come up as you're exploring this? So do the links expire? When you ask if the links expire, for the person who asked that, are you referring to the sharing links? Okay, so you'll notice when you clicked on the share option, underneath the link is an option that says stop sharing. If you were to stop sharing, that would turn off the sharing ability. And I believe when you reshare it, I believe it gives you a whole new link. I'm not positive on that because I've never actually stopped the sharing. I believe it, in all honesty, it works just like Google in that sense. Like once you share it, unless you take away the sharing permissions, it doesn't have like an expiration date. You as the teacher can manually unshare it, but it doesn't have an expiration date itself. The other question that came up in the chat, does this integrate at all with the notebook software we learned about earlier, or are they completely separate? They are not completely separate. They work really hand in hand together. So I'm going to open up Notebook really quick because I'll show you something in Notebook. So what's going to happen, as I have so many tabs open on my computer right now. All right, so resume, share screen. I am just going to share my entire computer screen with you guys right now because that'll just be faster. So here's Notebook. So I can come in here, I can do my notebooks, I can use all my pens, whatever. When I click File, there is an option that says Share. It's going to upload it to your Smart Learning Suite. It uploads it to your Google Drive when you click Share. So you can create that file in Notebook so that you have all the pens, and then share it at the end of class so that your students can go back to refer to the notes. You can create it in Notebook so that you have more colors and you have the algebra, you have that the equation writer, and then you could upload it to Smart Learning Suite when you're done. The reason you would want to use Smart Learning Suite is that collaboration and the interaction with the students. That is the biggest takeaway of Smart Learning Suite. Yes, you lose a lot of the functionality of Notebook, but you gain that engagement. You gain that interaction that otherwise, if you're just using Notebook, you're pretty much just doing it on your board. You'd be calling kids up to the front of the room, but they wouldn't be interacting from their desks. So that is the major benefit of the Smart Learning Suite, is the interaction.
Could I do both? If I create a lesson in Smart Notebook and do what you just said, upload it to the online, the drive, can I then take that lesson and edit it and then add some of the collaborative activities, or is it like it's locked in stone, it's just a notebook?
You can add the activities. It's just going to be that limited functionality.
What do you mean?
Like you can only do black and white text. You can only.
Oh, but I can, I would have all of the, it would be essentially the same type of thing. I could have my own slides.
And it's kind of a one-way connection right now. So you can go from Notebook to Smart Learning Suite, but you can't download from Smart Learning Suite to Notebook.
Okay.
So that's the other. Notebook goes up, but Cloud doesn't come down.
I can't download it.
Yeah, yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a feature they're working on. Any other questions? All right, well, I put all the links in the chat for you. I also put a survey in the chat that just basically asks you if today's training was what you were expecting. I'm not the one that sees the results of that. I don't even know who does, to be honest with you. But yeah, that survey is just a conclusion. And if you have any questions, I'm always here for you. That is my email address. That is my Twitter handle. So feel free to reach out. If you're curious about my Twitter handle, when I was in college, I had a money saving blog and I then became a business teacher. So I was teaching about financing. So the name just came stuck. I'm not changing it now. But that is, like I said, that's my Twitter handle. That's my email. You are more than welcome to reach out any way you need. And thank you, Daniel. I was so proud of myself when I came up with that name in college. Now I'm just like stuck with it kind of, but you know, it is what it is. So thank you all again for joining today. I really appreciate all of you for taking the time. Don't panic. Take a deep breath. It can be overwhelming, but just play around a little bit more and ask those questions if they come up. You're not alone. We're here to support you.